Delusional fiancé knew all about OP's family's abuse, neglect, and abandonment, but was still forcing him to invite his family to the wedding. She then went behind his back and contacted his manipulative sister and tried to force reconciliation, believing her lies about OP regretting going NC with them and wanting to reconcile, but stopped because of his ego. Now the fiancé is having a meltdown. OP calls off the wedding. So some backstory. My dad left the family and went no contact when I 35 and was 4. My mom remarried and had 2 kids with my stepdad. My stepdad never treated me poorly, but always made clear that I was Dale fake name to him. He was not my dad. My mom never tried to fix the relationship and honestly loved her new family, and always saw me as a burden. That's what I thought, at least until it was confirmed after my freshman year of college, when my mom asked me not to come home anymore. I blocked her after that phone call and have had no contact with her or my stepdad and half-brother since then. I do still speak to my half-sister 25F at her insistence, but that's my only contact. It took me a long time to deal with basically being kicked out of my family. I grew to be pretty independent and thought I'd live alone until I met my fiancé 28F 4 years ago. We have had a great relationship, and her family opened up and invited me in with open arms. She comes from a pretty typical suburban family, and they are great. Over the years, I've told her about my issues with my family. She has met my sister, and she never pushed for more until we started planning the wedding. When we started talking about who we would invite, I talked about friends from college and coworkers, and she kept saying I should invite my parents. At first, I thought she was just trying to gauge if I wanted to. I said I would not be inviting my parents. She said okay, but then brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they hurt me and how growing up feeling you were unwanted, and then having it confirmed at 19 really stunted my mental health. Over the years, I have realized it's their problem, and if they ever want to solve it, then they can initiate. But I am in contact with my sister, and it is clear they are happy, insisting I don't exist. It sucks, but it's their problem that they have thrust onto me. I can't be the one to solve it. I thought it had ended, but she has brought it up 2 more times. The last one was last night. We were about to start the save the dates, and she said, "Are you sure you don't want to invite your parents? I feel like I might just invite them on my side." And I snapped. I told her we should probably just throw the invitations away, because if you can't respect what I've been through, then I don't want to marry you. I then went to our bedroom and fumed for a while. She came in to try to talk to me, and I walked out, grabbed my keys, and left. I came back around 11 p.m. after hanging with friends and sleeping on the couch. She left for work without a word to me, and I don't know where we stand. Her behavior is unacceptable, but I feel I may have gone too far. What do you all think, AITA? Relevant comments. She's already in contact with your parents. This particular kind of obliviousness doesn't start with asking permission, but rather begging forgiveness. I don't think so. I go to dinner or talk with my sister every Thursday night, and she would hint if my mom and Dale wanted to reconcile. They don't. They honestly are happier pretending I don't exist. I don't think you are the arsey hole, but saying this probably hurt her quite a bit, especially if she's well-intentioned. Please know what I'm saying is coming from a place of having horrible drug-addicted parents myself. People with parents that abandoned them didn't care for them are understandably very sensitive when someone tries to push us on the issue. We spend our lives having to build our own foundation and walls to build our emotional houses. Threatening that house is something that can cause us to react significantly more aggressively than it necessarily warrants. Your future wife sees this situation from the perspective of coming from a happy family. She wants your wedding to be an opportunity for you to have reconciliation and a new, fulfilling start. She wants your future children to know both sets of grandparents. That does not make her right to continue to bring it up. But unlike a lot of the responses in here, I highly doubt her intentions are malicious. So when you threaten to break off the marriage for something where she feels she is wanting to help you in earnest, it's going to sting quite a bit. My wife is also from a loving family. There are things she doesn't understand, even with a detailed explanation. That's okay. In a way, I love the blind spot, but sometimes it can cause situations like what you're describing. I think it might be good to take a step back. It sounds like you two care about each other quite a bit. Apologize for threatening to break up the marriage in the heat of the moment. Assure her that you love her. Explain how serious it is that you do not want to be in contact with those people. Be wary of these knee-jerk Reddit responses. Don't throw your life away because of what idiots on the internet say about how things should or shouldn't be. Relationships take a lot of flexibility and humility. Thank you. This is very helpful. Updates. I'm very overwhelmed by the response. So many thoughtful responses. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond. I thought I would give an update. My fiancé normally gets home around 5:30 p.m. So after I was done working, I work from home. I waited for her to show up. I got very worried when it was 6, and she still wasn't home. But around 6:15 she shows up with my sister, which was a big surprise. While my sister and I connect every Thursday, we live 45 minutes away from each other, so her popping by is not normal. Both of them looked very anxious, so I was very confused. I asked them what was going on, and my sister just burst into tears, saying she's sorry. After like 5 minutes of her losing her SHT, she starts talking about the family. So apparently, when she told my mom and Dale that I got engaged, it started a rift between them. Not because they cared about me, but about how my half-brother, who is 27, is still living at home, single with no steady job. If you're thinking, wow, they kicked you out at 19, but let him stay there past when he could rent a car. Don't worry, I said it out loud. My mom apparently wants to do the same to my half-brother, but Dale won't let her. So they are currently separated, with my mom living with family and refusing to come back until my half-brother is out of the house. For some reason that defies all logic and reason, my sister thinks getting an invite to my wedding will bring the family together, since it was my engagement that caused the rift. At this, I blew up a bit. I told her that my engagement had nothing to do with it, that their SHTTY parenting and poor relationship skills caused it, and don't put that SHT on me. She cried even harder, and this time I was not going to console her. My fiancé is just sitting there the whole time. So while my sister is trying to get herself together, I question my fiancé about this. She also tears up a bit, but tells me my sister was telling her about how I always bring up the family on our Thursday, and that deep down I wanted to repair the relationship. I asked how she could believe that when I was very clear that I was no contact with my family, and had never mentioned wanting to be in contact. I told her that I tell her everything, and would never hold back something like this without talking to her. She's always been my sounding board. When I switched jobs last year, we talked about it every night, and her advice mattered more than anyone else. She apologized, and then wanted to show me her phone. Specifically the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister perks up and asks her not to show the phone conversation. But my fiancé tells her she's trying to save her relationship. My sister has just been straight up lying about our Thursday conversations, saying how I was always talking about reconciling, how I would never admit it, but I'm partially at fault too, and how I really want to see them all again. Every time I would tell my fiancé no, she would text my sister, and my sister would talk about how I just couldn't be open because I was embarrassed. Just completely false. I would be perfectly happy never seeing any of them again. I can't believe my sister still sees them. At this, I tell my half-sister to leave, and that Thursdays are cancelled. My sister puts up a little bit of a fight, but I ignore her until she leaves. She keeps saying sorry over and over again, but honestly, I'm done with her. I've blocked her, and will be no contact with her for the time being. A complete betrayal of my feelings and relationships. As for my fiancé and me, I am still very upset. She went behind my back with my sister. Never asked me about it. Let my sister manipulate her and honestly hurt me. I told her I loved her, but my trust is broken. We've agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we can repair the relationship. I hope we can, but I'd say it's a toss-up for me. She's got a lot of work to do. Relevant comment. OF off. Your fiancé was lied to and manipulated just as much as you. Don't hold this against her if you don't want to be the arsehole. Now is the time to come together with her, as she has seen how f***ed they are. Tell her you love her and forgive her, and never believe anything unless it's out of your mouth again. But that's up to you if you want to throw away the love of a good woman. This is why we are doing couples counseling, not individual counseling. I don't think I'm blameless here.